Yeah, Reed, the sign outside the restaurant reads temporarily closed for remodeling, but really that only tells a small portion of the story. Yes, they are remodeling, and it's because there was a sinkhole that suddenly appeared, and now the entire floor inside the restaurant is torn up. We'll go ahead and take you inside and show you some images. We were allowed to tour the property, and this is what the restaurant looks like now. The problem was first discovered early in the month of November. That's when some employees noticed cracks in the walls. Didn't think much of it at the time, but then on November 14th, the restaurant was open. There were customers inside at the time, and suddenly there was a loud boom. That's when they noticed a much larger crack in the floor. Inspectors later discovered it was in fact the main water line, which had apparently been leaking and created the sinkhole.
After time, it kept sinking and sinking. Then that whole area, you could see it all. It was basically all going down, you know? Even our booth started lifting.
The emergency meeting comes as states prepare to receive COVID-19 vaccines as early as mid-December if one is authorized. And the decision came down to a 13-to-1 vote.
The vaccine should be delivered to healthcare providers and to those individuals living in long-term congregate facilities.
The vote comes as we reach 13.7 million cases and nearly 270,000 deaths nationwide.
Sadly, we're already seeing the impact of holiday travel in a bad way, with record numbers now of infected people, hospitalized patients, and sadly deaths from COVID.
One thing to keep in mind is that not everyone in these groups will be able to get the vaccine when it becomes available.
There isn't enough vaccine to go around at this time. And so each individual institution will need to decide how they're going to prioritize that vaccine.
In the meantime, places like UNLV are preparing to help store the vaccines.
The two vaccines that are likely to be approved first, the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine, because they're made out of messenger RNA, require cold temperatures for storage.
So the dean of UNLV's School of Medicine says they have this in place.
So at UNLV, we have one of those minus 80-degree freezers. That's not your typical freezer that you buy in an appliance store.
After the vaccine is released, the school waits for guidance.
It's going to go to states first, and then the states are going to distribute vaccine through their health departments, and the health departments then are going to distribute it to hospitals and physician groups, etc.
Until then, doctors are warning the holidays are a very high-risk season for the pandemic.
The challenge is that vaccine is going to take many months to roll out, and in that time, we have to be extra careful.
It's now time for the News 3 Sports Desk, sponsored by the Station Casino's STN Sports app.
Players are allowed to go into the facility for that purpose only, to continue their rehab and get assessed by our training staff. But the facility is off limits to the coaches. We had a Zoom meeting this morning at 9 a.m. with the coaches, reviewing the game yesterday and kind of previewing the schedule for today and tomorrow, and do the best we can to get everybody on the same page, getting ready for the Jets.
Well, Gruden and company making do with the NFL closures of team facilities, but there was some good news for the Silver and Black today, receiving another nationally televised game, December 26th versus the Miami Dolphins. And that game, of course, can be seen right here on Channel 3. Now, for today's Raiders Report, here's Jesse Merritt.
Go to the dentist, Vic, and have to have your teeth pulled out. You know, it's pretty much like that. This was tough, man.
Yeah, I feel you, Coach. Like a root canal for the eyes. It was tough to watch on TV as well, but now it's time to put it in the rearview mirror and look ahead to the Jets. Now, in doing that, things are going to be a bit different this week. All team facilities are closed to in-person activities today and tomorrow due to the spike in COVID-19 cases around the country. On the injury front, we saw Damon Arnett and Josh Jacobs go down yesterday. Gruden said Arnett is going through the concussion protocol now, but all signs are good, and they hope to have him available for Sunday. Same deal for Josh, whose injury looked bad but turned out to be just a sprained ankle. On top of that, things are trending in the right direction for Trent Brown and a couple others as well.
Yes, I think he'll be on the field Wednesday. I don't believe he'll be playing in this game, but just to get him back out there is a big lift for our team. We think Joyner will be back. We think Cleve Farrell's got a chance to really get himself ready to play this week. And we'll see about David Irving and a couple of the other players that we've talked about. But, yeah, signs are good with Trent.
And we saw how big his absence was yesterday, Brian. No doubt they're hoping he is ready to roll for the game against the Colts on the 13th.
All right, Jesse. Well, how about second-year head coach T.J. Otzelberger and his Running Rebels back at it with an opportunity to show its opener versus Montana State is not how this season is going to be. It might not be UNLV beating the #1 team in the country in North Carolina, but how about a happy medium? It's North Carolina in the Maui Invitational in Asheville, North Carolina. Huh? Well, you know, because of COVID, they moved it from Maui to North Carolina. Anyway, UNLV comes out hot. Bryce Hamilton doing his thing. The 3-ball, good. The pull-up, yes, sir. And then Bryce showing that he's got them uppers. Don't jump or you end up in a poster. Ooh. Bryce ended up with a team-high 15 points. The Rebels were up 13-0, and this thing was over. How about this? Even playing some inspired defense. Get that out of here. That's what you say when you play basketball. Give me that. But the Rebels were still down 7 points at the half. And from there, it was all bad for UNLV in the second half. They only scored 21 points, while Carolina scores 41 points in the half. The Running Rebels get beat down by the Tar Heels 78-51 and fall to 0-2 on the season.
We didn't do the job we needed to do to be stubborn to get open. We didn't cut well enough to put ourselves in great position. And eventually what it did is it pushed us out on the floor, and we were running offense at 35, 40 feet. Which is a challenge. So we've got to do a better job using our competitive spirit on every cut, every catch, every pass, especially against a team with the size and length of North Carolina.
And it's also been a rough go of it for the UNLV football program. Coach Marcus Arroyo.
We had a chance to play a really physical, well-coached Wyoming football team and unfortunately fell short. But I love the group that was called upon and how they embraced the challenge with only one day of full pads and getting back out there and going to work, man. They didn't flinch. We took it on the chin. We got to take it maturely as a group and as a program, dust ourselves off and get back in the saddle. And so proud of them for that.
Well, Marie, President Trump tweeted late Monday night saying a judge in Nevada has ordered Clark County officials to allow an inspection of the election's equipment and sealed containers used in the 2020 election by 1 p.m. tomorrow. Now, fast forward to Tuesday afternoon. We waited outside the Clark County Election Department where the Nevada GOP confirmed the inspection was taking place. Clark County in a statement said this request was made in conjunction with one of the lawsuits. No one opposed the request, and we are accommodating them. Let's break down that lawsuit. It was filed mid-November on behalf of 6 Trump electors. The suit repeats complaints about Clark County's use of a machine to match mail ballot signatures with your actual signature on file. The Trump campaign claims the county tweaked the settings on the machine, allowing signatures to pass through that were not properly matched. Among other issues, the lawsuit alleges there were votes counted that were not eligible. The campaign claims 15,000 votes were from people who moved out of state.